About a week ago, I had the opportunity to go to the Women's World Figure Skating Long Program Competition in Boston. I went with my daughter Abby, who was a skater when she was living in Canada as a kid. We were way up in the nosebleed seats at the Garden, and there were 20,000 people there to a sold-out crowd. There were lots of families there that looked like us, parents and their teen or young adult daughters talking about jump rotations and whispering to each other and then clapping and cheering. Women from all over the world were competing, and the people in the arena, thousands and thousands of them, were supportive and warm. We cheered people on when they did great. We cheered just as loud when they fell and clapped extra loud when they landed their next element. The audience brought the house down for a young woman from Poland who did a costume change mid-skate, and a wonderful program. And then a beloved skater from Japan who landed jump after jump to the hits in the music, All That Jazz, triples, with confidence and power. And while these women were skating their hearts out and absolutely crushing it, there was a wall of sound, of cheers. And when they finished, the whole arena leapt to their feet and hooted and hollered. When the three women from the United States skated, folks in the arena lost their minds in support of them. Other than for the American Alyssa Liu, who skated last and won, the loudest reception was for a woman named Amber Glenn, a decorated skater and the first queer woman to be publicly out in US figure skating. As she skated, people all over the arena were holding up pride flags and cheering. And they were so excited to see somebody who shared their identities out there on the ice, making beautiful art and showing her strength and skill. Both Abby and I cried more than once. It was really wonderful in a week that was really hard to see the people of Boston, not always known for their hospitality, my hometown, being so welcoming and loving. We were so excited to be a part of a little piece of history, watching people who have learned how to do something amazing share it with their fellow humans. Then yesterday, I was back in Boston for the Hands Off rally with Jody and Martha and Tommy and 30,000 of our closest friends. Folks, again, were warm, and even though it was hard to get around with so many people in the street, we all seemed to manage without getting short with each other. Before we started marching, which was really more of a slow shuffle, shuffle, wait, shuffle, shuffle, wait, the organizers talked about centering love, and I was surprised and heartened to hear it. Sure, folks were there because they're angry and frustrated, and that's why we were protesting, but for many of us, that anger comes from a place of love. We love people, and we don't want them to be hurt and suffer so that some billionaires can become more wealthy. We don't want to give up on democracy and freedom. In the face of growing authoritarianism and violence against people, it can be hard to know what to do. Sometimes what we can do is the heroic act of putting one foot in front of the other and helping where we can. These were the first big public events that I've been to since COVID, where there were thousands of people and folks weren't getting tense with each other, and where we sort of embraced the shuffle, shuffle, wait of it all. Because being there together was the point, and it was inspiring, and for me, hope-filled. In Unitarian Universalism, we have a set of shared values to guide and ground us. They're always there, but are especially helpful when we're feeling scared or lost or hopeless. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. In an essay on the updated language for our shared values, Reverend Bill Sinkford, our former UUA president, wrote, "For many years, many of us were able to convince ourselves that progress toward the beloved community was almost inevitable if we worked for it, until recent years. But today we know that we are going to need a faith that can sustain us in the face of reversals. The last question for all of us is not whether we place the word love at the center of some graphic that will live on some website. The real question is whether we can experience and find joy in a love that holds us and can help us live as we want to live, even in a world that is demonstrably indifferent to suffering. May the answer to that question be yes. Reverend Sinkford's words appear in a new book of essays from Unitarian Universalists called Love is at the Center. Dr. Bell Hooks is quoted by many of the authors, including these words from her book, All About Love, New Visions. To live our lives based on the principles of a love ethic, showing care, respect, knowledge, integrity, and the will to cooperate, we have to be courageous. Learning how to face our fears is one way to embrace love. Our fear may not go away, but it will not stand in the way. Those of us who have already chosen to embrace a love ethic, allowing it to govern and inform how we think and act, know that when we let our light shine, we draw to us and are drawn to other bearers of light. We are not alone. When we live a love ethic, as Dr. Hooks describes it, showing care, respect, knowledge, integrity, and the will to cooperate, through our interconnection, all beings benefit. When people cut at the strands of the interconnected web or care for them, we are all impacted. When people are suffering in our neighborhood or around the world, when people are living scared, we are all impacted. It makes all of us feel less safe, less secure, less hopeful. When we find ways to build trust and love and compassion, and people have their needs met, everyone benefits. It helps us all thrive. There are those with and in power who do not share these values, but that doesn't make them any less real and true. In the interconnecting relationships that form our world, we may never see exactly how our actions will impact others, but we can experience the rippling effects of others in our own lives. We experience not just the reverberations of the work of heroes and leaders, but also all of the people who helped along the way. We experience the impact of people who marched, the people who helped those in danger, the people who provided food and shelter and clothing and basic needs to their fellow humans to help keep each other safe. When we do things as individuals and communities and collectively that help care for other people, that matters. We are in a tough time, and based on the last few weeks, it's going to get harder for a lot of people economically and in terms of personal safety and health. Does centering love mean that we don't call out and respond to acts of hate and violence? No. Does it mean we are not accountable to one another for our own actions? No. Centering love means that we have before us the hard work of seeking justice and building beloved community in relationship with everyone, accountably, recognizing that all our actions, whatever their intentions, impact all people and the world. This stuff is hard, and it's also life-saving. Life-saving for people who find a home and place of inclusion. Life-saving when rights and freedoms are protected. Life-saving when we work to claw back the damage we've done to this precious planet on which we live together. Life-saving when we are heard and loved. What does it look like to live with love at the center? It can look something like the protests yesterday around the country. Living with love at the center can look like listening deeply to a friend or a stranger. It can look like taking a breath and grounding oneself before speaking truth to power at work, school, home, or the street. What does it look like to live with love at the center? Love is the power that holds us together. Love is the power that holds us together. So may it be, and amen.